A digital dumpster fire. The game that shall not be named. Buckle up, gamers, because today we're diving headfirst into the festering septic tank of gaming history. We're talking about the worst of the worst, the absolute nadir of interactive entertainment. To protect the guilty and avoid legal threats, we'll keep its true name shrouded in shadow. For our purposes, let's just call it Game X. Game X wasn't just bad, it was a crime against pixels, a slap in the face to anyone who ever held a controller. It was the gaming equivalent of finding a moldy sandwich under your bed, except instead of throwing it out, you paid $60 for the privilege of eating it. But what made Game X so spectacularly, monumentally, catastrophically awful? Well, dear viewers, that's what we're here to dissect. Prepare yourselves because we're about to embark on a journey into the abyss of gaming incompetence. Get ready to witness glitches that would make Superman 64 weep. Controls so unresponsive they make molasses in January look like a Formula One race. And a story so nonsensical it would make David Lynch scratch his head in bewilderment. Imagine, if you will, a game where simply moving your character feels like wrestling a rabid badger. That's Game X in a nutshell. Movement was a Herculean task, with characters responding to input with all the enthusiasm of a sloth on tranquilizers. But hey, at least the glitches were entertaining, right? Wrong. These weren't your endearing, quirky glitches. These were game-breaking, soul-crushing, controller-hurling monstrosities. Characters would phase through walls, enemies would teleport at random, and the game would crash more often than a teenager learning to drive a stick shift. One particularly memorable glitch involved the main character's head inflating like a balloon before exploding into a shower of confetti. It was both hilarious and horrifying, like watching a clown die in a tragic hot air balloon accident. Even basic actions like jumping or attacking felt like playing a rigged carnival game. You'd press the button, hoping against hope that your character would actually do what you commanded, only to be met with silence and a profound sense of disappointment. It was like the game itself was actively conspiring against you, determined to make your experience as miserable as humanly possible. So, how does a game like Game X even happen? It's a tale as old as time, a potent cocktail of corporate greed, unrealistic deadlines, and a development team seemingly fueled by Red Bull and despair. Rumors swirled about the game's troubled development, whispers of a project plagued by mismanagement, feature creep, and a severe lack of quality control. It was like watching a train wreck in slow motion, except the train was made of broken dreams, and the wreckage was scattered across the digital landscape. Interviews with anonymous developers painted a grim picture of a project spiraling out of control, with constantly shifting goals and a management team more concerned with meeting deadlines than releasing a playable game. One developer described the work environment as a special kind of hell, where the coffee was always cold and the bugs were always multiplying. It's a cautionary tale of what happens when ambition outweighs common sense, when the pursuit of profit trumps the pursuit of quality. Game X wasn't just a bad game. It was a symptom of a broken system, a shining example of everything wrong with the gaming industry. Now don't get me wrong, Game X isn't alone in the annals of gaming infamy. There have been plenty of other contenders for the title of worst game ever, each with its own unique brand of terribleness. Who could forget the Atari 2600 adaptation of E.T. the Extraterrestrial, a game so legendarily bad that it's often blamed for the video game crash of 1983? Or Superman 64, a game that somehow managed to make flying more tedious than sitting through airport security? But even these notorious stinkers pale in comparison to the sheer, unadulterated awfulness of Game X. It's like comparing a mosquito bite to being mauled by a bear. Sure, they're both unpleasant, but only one will leave you scarred for life. Game X wasn't just another bad game. It was a black hole of suck, a singularity of terribleness that threatened to consume the entire gaming universe. It was the gaming equivalent of a nuclear meltdown, a disaster so catastrophic that it forced the industry to take a long, hard look in the mirror and ask itself, how did we let this happen? The Art of Failure: Valuable Lessons from Gaming's Scrap Heap. As tempting as it is to bury Game X and forget it, there are valuable lessons in its failure. Like a phoenix rising from the ashes, we can glean wisdom from this disaster. Knowledge to avoid future catastrophes. Game X reminds us that deadlines shouldn't compromise quality. A rushed game is rarely good. Sacrificing integrity for profit is disastrous. Clear communication is crucial. A unified team works towards a shared vision. Never underestimate playtesting. Game X's glitches show a lack of testing. Playtesting identifies problems early. Section 6, Cash Grab or Misguided Vision, Unraveling the Motivation. The disaster that was Game X begs the question, what were they thinking? Was it a blatant cash grab, a cynical attempt to fleece unsuspecting consumers, or was it a case of misguided ambition, a project that spiraled out of control due to a lack of experience or oversight? The truth, as is often the case, likely lies somewhere in between. There's no denying that the gaming industry is driven by profit, and it's entirely possible that Game X's creators were more concerned with lining their pockets than delivering a quality product. However, it's also possible that Game X began with good intentions, a genuine desire to create something special. Perhaps the developers were simply in over their heads, lacking the experience or resources to realize their vision. Whatever the reason, the end result was the same, a monumental flop that left gamers feeling cheated and disillusioned. Ultimately, the motivation behind Game X's creation is irrelevant. The damage has been done, and the game stands as a testament to the perils of unchecked ambition and the importance of prioritizing quality over profit. Section 7, The Power of Hype and the Perils of Blind Trust. Game X wasn't just dumped onto unsuspecting gamers out of the blue, it had a marketing campaign, a whirlwind of trailers, interviews, and promises. The hype machine was in full swing, convincing gamers this was a must-have. This is the power of hype, transforming even mediocre products into must-haves. Game X serves as a stark reminder of the perils of blind trust. It's crucial to approach marketing with skepticism and research thoroughly. The gaming community must demand quality and hold developers accountable. Section 8, The Rise of So Bad. It's good can awful games be enjoyable? There's a strange phenomenon in the gaming world where some games are so bad, they transcend their own terribleness and become strangely enjoyable. These aren't games that are merely flawed or mediocre. They're games that are broken at their core, riddled with glitches, bad design choices, and a complete lack of polish. These so bad it's good games, often affectionately referred to as kusogi, a Japanese term meaning crap game, have developed a cult following, with gamers reveling in their awfulness and finding humor in their brokenness. However, it's important to note that Game X doesn't fall into this category. It's not charmingly bad or entertainingly awful, it's just plain bad, a soul-crushing exercise in frustration that's about as enjoyable as a root canal. While there's a place for so bad it's good games in the gaming ecosystem, it's crucial to recognize that not all bad games are created equal. Some are simply bad, and Game X is a prime example. Section 9, The Importance of Criticism, Holding Developers Accountable. In the wake of Game X's release, critics and gamers alike unleashed a torrent of well-deserved vitriol. Reviews were scathing, YouTube personalities had a field day, and the game became a cautionary tale whispered in hushed tones across internet forums. This is as it should be. Game criticism, when done right, is an essential part of a healthy gaming ecosystem. It holds developers accountable for their creations, encourages them to strive for quality, and informs consumers about the games they choose to play. Criticism should never be about tearing down creators or blindly hating on games. It's about fostering a culture of accountability, where developers are encouraged to create the best possible experiences for their players. Game X, with its overwhelming negativity, served as a wake-up call, a reminder that gamers won't tolerate being taken advantage of. It highlighted the power of the gaming community, the ability of players to come together and voice their displeasure to ensure that their voices are heard. Can a bad game be saved? In the age of patches and updates, can a bad game be saved? Can developers fix a fundamentally broken game and make it enjoyable? Some developers have salvaged disastrous launches. No Man's Sky redeemed itself through dedicated post-launch support. However, these cases are rare. Many games are abandoned, left to rot in the digital wasteland. Game X sadly falls into this category. Overwhelmed developers abandon the game to its fate. Some mistakes are simply too costly to fix. Section 11, Gaming's Future. Learning from the past to shape a brighter tomorrow. The story of Game X is a cautionary tale, a reminder of the pitfalls of prioritizing profit over passion. It's a tale of unchecked ambition and poor communication. But it's also a story of hope. Hope that the industry can learn from its mistakes and create experiences that are both profitable and enjoyable. The future of gaming rests on our collective shoulders. Let us learn from the past and strive to create a future where gaming is a force for good.